The Chiefs. Chiefs. The Chiefs might have the best player in the world. The Chiefs might have the best head coach in the world. Thanks, Albie. Starting to wonder. The Chiefs might have the best defense they've had in a very, very long time. But that does not mean that the Chiefs don't have problems, because they do. Plenty. But the biggest of their problems stems from one main issue: catching the damn football. Or lack of catching the damn football. Seriously, has anybody ever seen a good team, a contending team, the defending champs, put so many balls on the ground? Has anybody ever seen any team, good, bad, or otherwise, drop so many balls? It's like the Chiefs' toughest opponent is themselves right now. And last night, the Chiefs successfully took themselves down. No knock on the Eagles. They found a way to grind that out. They've got grit. They're tough. No knock on them. But it's a knock on the Chiefs. Absolutely. I don't want to hang it all on MVS, though, although all of X hung it on MVS last night. Brutal as that drop was. That's the one that will sear in memory. That's the one that's been trending on the X all night and all morning. But it was far from the only drop. Let's not ignore the 5 other drops in this game. Of course, he catches that ball, takes it into the end zone, and erases everything. But not the bottom line problem. The underlying problem is these dudes can't catch. None of them. Ignore that 4th and 25 dot that Justin Watson took off of his face 2 plays after the MVS disaster. And let's not overlook the fact that this is not a new issue for Kansas City. This is no one-off. These dudes lead the league in drops so far this year with 26. Get this, 21% of Mahomes' incompletions have come on drops, which seems pretty shocking until you watch that team play. And then you can't believe that the number's not even higher than that. But there's clearly more going on with this offense than just the drops. These stats are incredible. Consider the fact that they have not scored a second-half point in a month. They're the lowest scoring second-half team in the league so far this year. They've only scored 1 fourth-quarter TD all year long. So, yes, the receiving core is completely jacked up. But they still have Mahomes. They still have Travis Kelce. So it's pretty hard to understand how they still have Andy Reid. It's pretty hard to understand how they have such a horrendous second-half offense. I mean, I'll give you another stat. The Jets have 9 more second halves or second-half points over the last month than the defending champs, even as they were dying on Coug Hunter Hill. More points than the Chiefs. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. It's happening, you guys. It's happening.
It is happening, you guys. It doesn't make any sense. Even that long face knows. Yet, despite all that, Kansas City was still essentially 1 catch away from beating Philadelphia and getting to 8-2, except this happened. As always, hit him in the worst possible spot. His hands. I feel for the dude. He's been a Jungle regular. I always enjoy talking to him. And pretty rough to watch him go head down in the tunnel after the game and slam his helmet against the Chiefs logo on the wall. I understand why he was so frustrated. Believe me, every single person in that stadium felt that frustration and would have slammed something against something else. He should be frustrated. That was a disaster. But let's not totally lose sight of the fact that he did have a role in helping that team win a Lombardi last year. Dude did go off for 116 and a TD in the AFC Championship game. Let's not get too carried away with all the MVS slander. Pat knows, which is why Pat was not about to step to a podium and run that dude under the nearest double-decker. Not that that's something Pat has ever done or Pat would ever do, so of course he was not going to do it last night. Hey, listen, I know there are some people doing cartwheels and seeing double rainbows about that answer on the X. Like, oh, classiest thing I've ever seen. Really? Or pretty much the one thing that any quarterback would say. I mean, Pat is classy. Pat's a great player. Patrick. Patrick is a great player. Patrick is a class act. But any real quarterback who is a real leader would have said the same exact thing. It's part of the gig, right? It's part of being the guy. It means you take the blame even if it's not your fault. And believe me, it was not Patrick's fault last night, even if he did have that red zone pick. But whatever is going on with this offense is definitely weird. Really weird. Not the good kind of weird. Weird. Which is even worse because the Chiefs' defense is so scary. The defense is straight up scary. For most of that game last night, the defense did a great job of locking the Eagles up. They did their freaking job. How many times could you say that about the Chiefs' defense during their dynastic run? How many times did the Chiefs' defense pull the offense out of the fire when they were stacking dubs and Lombardis? None. Never. It never happened. Just as you could never ever make this statement. And this is a real statement. I mean this. The Chiefs' defense is better than the Chiefs' offense. It is right now. That's no hot take. That's not even debatable. That's a fact. If you can't catch a freaking football, it is safe to say that your defense is better than your offense. No matter who you have under center or at tight end or on the sideline dialing up the plays, the defense is better than their offense. But I've got to say, the most impressive defensive play in that game was made by Philly, specifically Eagles rookie Jalen Carter. You see this dude. You see this dude actually try to pick off a Mahomes spike at the end of the first half. Never mind a heady play for a rookie. That's got to be one of the headiest and craziest plays I've ever seen from any player on any field. The dude seriously dove between the center's legs and nearly pulled it off. He timed it up. He jumped right between Creed Humphrey's wickets, and he nearly got his mitts on the ball. I mean, even the hood man had to be impressed with that. Even the hood man sending a dude in motion to block a field goal. Can't believe that idea. And just last week, the hood and Bailey Zappi ran the ugliest fake spike play in the history of the game. Last night, though, Jalen Carter just missed pulling off the most beautiful and brilliant attempt at a spike defense of all time. Who even knew that spike defense was a thing? Who even knew you could do something like that? And where did he get that brilliant idea from? The place where all brilliant ideas come from. The internet, of course. This is so amazing. He says he saw some high school kid do it on YouTube. I don't know what I like best about that he got the idea from, quote, some high school kid on the internet, or that the high school kid on the internet actually pulled it off. I mean, what? My dude's just online looking at high school kids doing crazy things and used it in an NFL game and it almost worked? He picked it up from a high school kid on YouTube and it almost worked. Man, I got to find that clip. Hey, by the way, I don't know if you know this. I have a YouTube channel. I do. Shameless plug opportunity that I do not plug nearly enough. You should be subscribed if you aren't already. At Jim Rome Show. At Jim Rome Show on YouTube. Thank me later. No, in fact, thank me right now. You're welcome. So that Jalen Carter play.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Matt. You're welcome too. That might have been the most impressive play that Philly made all night long. That, my dude, Kevin Byard's pick in the end zone. And again, I'm not looking to take anything away from Philly. Like, when they had to make a play, they made a play. They're tough now. They're tough, and they've got grit. But the fact of the matter is, they didn't do anything overwhelming. They didn't do anything especially significant. Jalen Hurts hit one big play. Credit for that. Big league, big time pass. And he found Devontae Smith, who's an absolute stud. Love him. DeAndre Swift got loose a few times. They were tough, though, as always, in the trenches. But essentially, that's all the Eagles needed. Just had to make a play or two here or there, and they got it done. Again, not a knock on them. They're 9-1 again. It's a credit to who they are and what they do and how solid they are. It is not a knock on Philly. But it's absolutely a knock on the Chiefs, who essentially did beat themselves last night. And yes, they still have Mahomes, and it was not his fault. They still have Big Red, Travis Kelce. Although my dude was all wrong last night. He just was off. He was off. And no, I don't want to hear about how his lady wasn't there, and that's the problem. You can take that someplace else. He just was off. And they still have a great defense now. So what I'm saying is, KC, I know you're furious. I know you're in shock. I know that you want to hit that panic button. I know all the above. I wouldn't hit the panic button yet. But it is time to acknowledge that there is something seriously wrong with that offense. Well, aside from the fact that none of them can catch the football. But they're off. They're definitely off. They're not what they were a year ago. And it just cost them their biggest game of the season. Oh, and Tyreek Hill's got to be laughing his ass off right now. Once again, the Eagles, and more so Nick Sirianni, can puff their chest out because the tush push, still the dumbest name ever, the tush push or the brotherly shove or whatever it is, still remains the single most unstoppable play in the NFL. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell to be the first to know when we do upload a new video.